Good evening, and tonight I'm going to be reviewing my favorite romantic film of all time, pretty much, and it is Leaving Las Vegas, starring Nicolas Cage and Elizabeth Shue. And Nicolas Cage won the Academy Award for this, and gave an amazing performance. The reason this is my favorite love story is because it's not sappy or mushy or, with romantic music playing and, the curtains blowing and all that kind of silly stuff. It's very grounded, it's very tragic in many ways, it's very realistic, and it centers around these two characters. I guess you could say they represent the bottom rung of society. That's not a very nice way of putting it, I guess, but the character of Ben in the story is an alcoholic, played by Nicolas Cage, and he's drunk throughout the entire movie. Like, from the moment the movie starts till it ends, there's not a moment where he's not drunk. So, for an actor to be able to play drunk throughout an entire movie as convincingly as he does is quite a feat. And not only that, but just the fact that he's so charismatic and funny and sweet and charming in spite of that is that combination is what won him the Academy Award. So, and also the fact that he's so profound even in his most drunken moments, and poetic in the way he speaks. There's never a moment where you don't understand what he's saying. Even when he's really drunk, his speech gets slurred, but you always get the gist of what he's saying. So, and Elizabeth Shue playing Sarah in this, fantastic performance as well. She is a hooker in this, or a prostitute is a nicer way of putting it, but she's kind of a more subdued character. She doesn't say a whole lot, but she's very emotional in the role. She's what you would call more of a high-class prostitute. Of course, very beautiful, as Elizabeth Shue is, and she sleeps with men that have a lot of money, charges $500 just to get into the room, so... the movie starts introducing Ben, going to the liquor store, picking up all his liquor to start his binge, and then it introduces Sarah, and kind of shows their separate lives before the two characters come together. The opening sequence in the film is actually pretty long, like about 20 minutes before the credits even begin to start. So it's got a longer introduction than any movie I've ever seen, but it works, so... yeah, so by the time Ben comes to Las Vegas, he's drinking all the time, and he's quit his job. Well, he was let go from his job. It shows in the film that, as sympathetic as his boss is to his situation, they just can't keep him on anymore because he's become a liability. He works as a screenwriter. You never really find out why Ben is a drunk, why he decided to drink himself to death. But it has something to do with his ex-wife. It's kind of hinted at a little bit in the film, but you never really find out. And Sarah has it kind of rough too. She is abused by her pimp, Yuri. He's not very gentle with her. He's really rough with her when they have sex, and physically abuses her a little bit. So Sarah's not entirely happy either, but from the moment they first meet in Las Vegas, there's instant chemistry between the two of them, and it just goes from there. The cinematography in this film is very intimate, lots of close-ups, some beautiful shots of Vegas, it really makes you feel like you're there as you're watching it, experiencing this romantic story through the eyes of the characters. And there's some very volatile scenes in this too, like it doesn't sugarcoat what Sarah does for a living. There's some scenes that are a little harrowing to watch. Because, you know, it shows that being a prostitute is a very dangerous profession. Not all her clients treat her with respect. I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen it, but there is a pretty disturbing scene with a gang of boys doing something terrible to her. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to give it away. But people that are sensitive to that kind of stuff might be a little offended by it. So just warning you about that. And the musical score in this, I'm going to talk about that. It's beautifully scored with jazz music. It's not your typical kind of romantic score. The music in this really creates a mood of kind of melancholia. With beautiful classic jazz pieces, and it's very haunting and mesmerizing. And the music totally adds to the atmosphere of the film, but as I said, it's not the type of score that you would expect in a more romantic type of film. So, but this is not your typical romantic film, so. So yeah, Ben continues to drink throughout the film as they eventually move in together, and it just shows their love slowly growing over time. And to me, the most Oscar-worthy moment from Nicolas Cage is there's a moment where he says to Sarah that you can never ask me to stop drinking, even though their love is so strong and beautiful. There's just nothing that can really take him off his course. So the movie does end somewhat tragically, but there's a beauty to it as well. Like I said, it's a very melancholy story, and it really shows how two people can come together under, you know, even the most tragic of circumstances and find love. And to me, that's a very beautiful thing. So the movie just has such a mood and an atmosphere to it. It's hard to express in words, like, unless you've seen it, you'll know what I mean. But it really is a cinematic masterpiece. It's very artistic. It doesn't shy away from the emotion of it. It doesn't shy away from the sexuality, the tragedy, or the beauty of it. You know, it shows that people that are alcoholics, you know, you should always look deeper rather than just scoffing at them, or, you know, thinking, you know, he does need help in the film, Ben, and yet he doesn't want it. So you can't help but kind of empathize with him as he goes through this struggle. And you see that it's hurting Sarah too, like it's tearing her apart watching Ben destroy himself the way he is. But she loves him so much that she accepts him totally for what he is. And to me, that is the definition of true love. And that's what makes this such a powerful love story to me. So yeah, the supporting cast in this. You know, the supporting cast, there's not any really major supporting cast members in this. It centers mostly around Ben and Sarah. But the supporting cast are all great in this. But what the supporting cast really shows in this is that there are people that sympathize with Ben and care about him, but there are also people that treat him with no respect whatsoever. Like, it shows all these different aspects of the human condition. In one of the motels they go to, it shows a lady that she just thinks of them as a couple of deadbeats, you know, a couple of screw-ups. But then you see that there are other people that are trying to reach out to Ben and help him, you know. There's a point where Ben's really, you know, kind of says the wrong thing to Sarah, you know, and it sounds really degrading, although he didn't mean it that way. And Sarah gets up to, you know, he gets up to leave because he feels really bad about it. And then this man says to Ben, you know, maybe you should wait. And he's like, why? And the guy says, you can tell she really wants you to. So it shows both the good and the bad sides to humanity. And how, you know, people like that are treated in society, which I thought was really good. And very eye-opening, you know. It's just such a fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. You know, it's not a film for everybody. If you like romances that are more lighthearted and comedic, or, you know, whatever, then that's the kind of film you should be seeing. This has a very dark edge to it, so it's not for everybody. But it's a very profound and very beautiful love story that ends on a rather tragic but also very beautiful note, and leaves you breathless by the end. This movie, it's kind of like, by the time the movie ends, you're kind of like, you don't know what hit you. One more thing I'll mention is not to give it away, this is going to be a big spoiler, but Ben does die in the end, and his death scene is uncomfortable to watch, to say the least. It's hard to put into words how it makes me feel when I see that scene, but the scene is kind of disturbing in a way, but also beautiful, because Sarah becomes like this angel to him in his mind as he's dying. So it's the most powerful death scene, like, in any movie that I've ever seen. So especially the final moment when Nicolas Cage turns and looks at the camera just before he dies. I don't know how he did it or how they accomplished it, but you can literally see the light leaving his eyes as he passes away. It's just so realistic. I don't know how he did it. He's just such a great actor. So I think that's all I can really say about this. Most of it is told through images. You know, there is dialogue, but it's very lyrical, poetic. It's like watching a ballet or a great stage show or an opera, you know, just the way it's done. It's a truly great work of art, and my favorite romantic film of all time. So, the masterpiece, Leaving Las Vegas. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend it. Especially if you're into more realistic, you know, kind of romances that aren't too comedic or lighthearted, but have a more serious tone. This is the one for you. So I hope you enjoy that review, and I'll do another one in about a week. Have a good night, everybody. Enjoy the beautiful weather, and I'll see you guys all very soon. Bye-bye.